And hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Front Porch Talk. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and I've got a great group of people here. We have Sir Adamantine tonight.
Cheers, everybody.
We've got Irate Prostate.
Hello, people. What's up?
We have Dr. Phobos with us tonight.
Greetings and salutations.
And I'm hoping we'll be joined by Kaz Warfox and Atim of the Hun a little bit later. So I know the thing on the top of my mind is this UN speech Trump gave. And I don't know how many people have watched the clips of it, but I do have a clip here that I'm going to screen share real quick. Oh, no, wait. That's the Kavanaugh stuff. Never mind. We'll get back to that in a minute. But I think the most interesting part of Trump's speech was that the entire UN laughed at him when he declared he had been one of the most productive presidents in U.S. history. And I kind of find that tasteless.
What, the laughing or the boasting?
The laughing. I mean,
Yeah.
the boasting every president has done.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
that's just par for the course.
I keep looking for some sort of comparison as to what previous presidents have done in the first 2 years of office. And the only thing I've been able to find is like comparing Obama with Trump, but they use all 8 years of Obama's term in comparison.
Right.
So, and the laughter, yeah, that's definitely, shall I say, undiplomatic.
Very much so. But I honestly think also that Iran was being very much disgruntled, which they always are. And I don't know if you guys have read some of the analysis from some of the op-ed pieces out there and the political foreign correspondent talking heads. I know CNN did a puff piece right after his speech where they were claiming that all of their international political commentators were stating that President Trump's push to not have a deal with Iran and pushing at their buttons is exactly the wrong move. Now, something I was thinking about as I was reading this was, are these the same guys that said that taunting Kim Jong-un would cause a nuclear war because it's actually caused a peace treaty?
It doesn't make sense, does it?
It really doesn't. I mean, we just had a peace treaty signed between North and South Korea. Something that's groundbreaking. Something that the news has completely ignored. And they're now attacking the same guy whose foreign policy is responsible for that peace treaty as he goes after another enemy.
There was some kind of shooting in Iran, and they tried to blame it on an American attack, but it was like, it's real sketchy as to how there was a uniform guard march. It was like, the Iranian, I can't remember what they're called, not the Republican Guard, but there's some special elite guard, right?
Yeah, that is the Iranian Republican Guard, because you've got the Iranian Army and then the Iranian Republican Guard.
Right, and they were marching, and then all of a sudden this gunfire comes out and kills more civilians than it does soldiers, and that kind of screams like false flag bullshit to me. And then on top of that, instead of blaming it on terror, they blame it on the United States.
Well, that's been the tagline in Iran for over 3 decades. I mean, the mad mullahs have been blaming us for everything from the dissidence of the populace, their failing economy, the fact that they're in the 14th century because of their religious practices, the fact that nobody wants to do business with them because they refuse to allow banking laws like the rest of the world. I mean, yeah, the United States actively embargoes them, but no other country has to do that. There's no UN resolution to embargo them. They're a member of the UN, for crying out
Well,
loud.
we know why every other country has to do it.
Why?
It's a them or us situation, especially
True.
if you're talking finance. No one in
Yeah.
their right mind is going to pick them.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But, I mean, the U.S. hasn't, in the past, stopped doing business with people that they've embargoed. You can buy Cuban cigars in Germany, for crying out loud. Hell, you can buy them across the border in Canada.
Well, but you
So-
can't legally bring them back.
No,
Well,
but
back
you
then.
could
Now
just-
you can, but
Now
but-
you can, but you could still go up there, buy them, and smoke them. That's the point. You know, if the embargo was going to be worldwide, and the U.S. was serious about putting them in an us or them situation,
Right.
we would have done that with Cuba as well, and we never did.
yeah, but Cuba never mattered. I mean, it mattered only as a perceived base of Russia, which Russia or the Soviet Union knew we would never allow.
Yeah.
Iran was a threat on its own. Granted, not a very special threat, but well, kidnapping Americans probably isn't sound policy either.
No, it really isn't. And, you know, I mean... But, yeah, he severely went after Iran in his UN speech, and everybody blew up about it. And I'm not so sure that it wasn't necessarily the smartest idea. America has been playing, you know, let's bend over and kiss rear end politic, you know, basically diplomacy since HW. I mean, I
Right.
hate to say it. You know, the only reason he went into the first Desert Storm was specifically because Kuwait quit exporting oil. And at that time, we were heavily dependent on it. He didn't really have a choice. It was either go into Kuwait and kick Iraq out, or let the U.S. continue to suffer with oil losses, which would have raised gas prices. And so he thought his only option was to go ahead and go in and retake Kuwait for the Kuwaitis. What's really funny is we were only about 10 miles from Baghdad when we stopped, and he made us go all the way back to the border. I mean, that was kind of dumb on his part, but never mind that. That's a whole different kettle of fish. And under Clinton, you know, we kissed everybody's rear end, and...
Speaking of cigars,
Wrong kind of cigars, man. I don't smoke the same kind of stuff.
Oh, come on, man. Every time they mention a cigar, my bullshit comes up. Fuck it. It's a dead horse, people. Fuck.
And welcome, President Clinton.
Yeah, I just got back from, I don't know, it might have been Vegas, I think. You know, it gets kind of fuzzy after they, you know, sitting there with a bunch of chicks gambling, and you wake up naked with no money, and you have to call, you know who, get me out. And, you know, so anyway, it's been kind of a harsh weekend for me. So it's nice to be back.
You staying
Well,
away from Chappaqua since the wife is back?
Holy shit. You know that's right.
I guess New York is now your least favorite state.
Oh my God. That place is it's the most retarded place I've ever been in my life, man. It's no, it's not laid back, man. Jesus. I like laid back, you know, just chill out, man. Everything's really cool. You know. Yeah, not there. Nope.
Yeah, but the thing is though, why should any of us give a shit about pretty much what any other country thinks? I can think of, I don't know, I couldn't fill one hand's worth of fingers of countries I could list off that I think the U.S. should give two fucks about.
Right. We China and Russia, right?
Well,
Maybe Great Britain.
I would have in the past. I would have said the UK, but at this point, no,
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about them either.
I mean, I can understand it. We would care if we were having, you know, like say diplomatic and financial and other kinds of ties, where it's a business arrangement rather than political. But when another country says, I don't like your president, I say I don't give a fuck.
Well, and that's something that I've been kind of discussing with some of the others that I keep finding on social media on a regular basis. I get Canadian socialists and German socialists and French and even British socialists.
Oh, you mean retards?
Every country you just listed off, as far as I'm concerned, is a failed country.
Well, and they'll yell at me, "Oh, this is coming from a guy who's got a horrible man as a president," and I'm like, what does it matter to you if we've got a horrible person as a president?
Well, what defines horrible person? I mean, he hasn't done anything. I mean, he's not droning people.
No, he's not. And
I mean, come on, man.
He's actually, he's nearly stopped ISIS in Syria. He's ended the Korean War. He's got Mexico removing their tariffs against the United States. He's got China coming to the table to stop currency manipulation, for crying out freaking loud. And he's even got Canada discussing removing of dairy tariffs.
That's impressive as fuck, man.
I mean, that's winning all around. I don't care how you slice the pie. Obama never even got close to any of that. Both Bushes never got anywhere near that. Don't even get me started on old BJ there.
Yeah, but Halliburton stock triple split, So.
Well, Halliburton stock tripled and split under, W, but I mean, but that's a different case scenario. I don't agree with the use of private military contractors either of that nature. I think that's use of mercenaries, and I don't agree with the U.S. government doing that. Not for any reason. Not to mention the cost. Do you know what it costs for a single Halliburton tactical specialist versus a U.S. Army soldier?
I'm sure that it's a ridiculous amount.
So 6 months as a Halliburton tactical specialist in a combat zone, they're paying the cat $160,000, and it's considered tax exempt because he's working outside the United States for the U.S. government in a war zone. An E4, that's a specialist in the U.S. Army, doing the same job in that same combat zone is getting about $30,000 a year.
That's crazy.
A year. Now that soldier, the U.S. government does have to pay for his equipment, does have to pay for his training, but after 18 months, the balance sheet seriously starts looking wrong if you're talking about using private military contractors. Wow. So I don't understand why we did that ever to begin with. It was just insanely wasteful spending. It would have been much more efficient to ramp the Army up higher and bring in more active duty soldiers to handle a lot of that. But we reduced the U.S. Army heavily after the first Gulf War, after President Clinton took office.
Yeah, I was going to say that was Clinton's thing, man.
Yeah, he reduced the active military component by 40%. So almost half.
When he reduced the Navy, they retired. Usually when they retire, like a couple of boats, they'll replace it. I mean, now it's like, 2 for 1.
Yeah.
And I don't even think there was some kind of attrition thing that went on during his administration where they weren't replacing many of the,
I know of 3 aircraft carriers they retired under his administration, 7 destroyers, and 2 battleships. And I don't recall him replacing any of those ships. Mm-hmm. So that's all.
I can disagree with you on the aircraft carrier thing. From everything I've ever been led to believe about the aircraft carrier thing, those retirements and replacements are scheduled before anyone who becomes president has anything to say about them.
Well, they normally do, but you got to remember that Clinton did something that was really unprecedented when he did his balanced budget thing. He reduced the U.S. military spending quite a bit.
Right, but haven't we, as far as aircraft carriers, haven't we ever since at least Kennedy always been either 10 or 11 aircraft carriers at one time?
We were actually slotted under his administration to go up to 18.
That would have been a huge waste of money. Those things, as much as I love them, God, they're fun to watch shows about. I believe as technology increases, they're increasingly becoming just very expensive sitting docks.
Well, they are very expensive. I do admit that. I don't know that they're necessarily sitting ducks, because a carrier group, because you got to remember, a carrier doesn't operate independently. They operate in a group. So you've got several ships running escort with a carrier.
No, I get that, but if I'm China and I'm actually at war with the U.S. at some point in time, I'm willing to sacrifice several subs just to get one aircraft carrier.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be several subs that would be effective. You'd have to basically scramble multiple flights of bombers to be anywhere even attempting.
Or you could use one hypersonic missile.
Yes, the missiles that that could be propaganda. We really don't know about that.
I haven't seen anything that indicates that those are actually functioning.
Right.
And I've seriously looked. I've looked quite a bit. The ability to even target a carrier group with a ground stationary missile is seriously problematic at best, because if you go, into almost an intercontinental ballistic trajectory, which you'd need to be able to do at any great distance, by the time you started your reentry, a lot of times the carrier group will have moved from its target destination, and you'll be impacting water.
Now, here's an interesting thing. Ace of Skulls in the chat used to be a military intel analyst.
Yeah.
Military intel analysts. More guesswork than forecasters.
Company going back to Iraq for over $130K for 6 months. Yeah. And that wasn't even, that probably wasn't any kind of forward operation. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't disagree with you, Ace, that the amount that we pay on government contractors for tactical forward operations is just insane. I knew a couple of E7s that retired and went and worked for the security companies that were providing gate security in Kuwait during the second Gulf War, and they were making $90,000 just to stand there on the gate, and they were getting it tax exempt, and they didn't have any of the responsibility that an E7 had. And even as an E7, they weren't making $90,000 every 6 months.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I actually applied for one with Global Dynamics to go do IT support in Iraq back after I got out, but I didn't get the job because I was like, hey, I go to Iraq for 6 months, I make $160K, I come back, it's all tax-free. That's a heck of a down payment on a house, and they're going to feed me and clothe me. And
I was going to say, that's a nice fucking house, man.
That's a nice down payment on a house on the West Coast, I rate, unfortunately.
Yeah, but on this side of the
on this side of the country, that's a nice house. That's
like, a nice house. Yeah.
Even if you're not getting a lot of property with it, that's still a nice house. That's at least a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole push against Iran, I don't think it's a bad thing that we're doing. And I think realistically he's got some good advisors telling him to be tough against Iran. Because I don't think they respect weakness. I mean, everything we've seen over the past 18, 20 years of previous presidents show they don't respect weakness.
Well, it goes way back to Carter.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they didn't respect him. They waited until he got out of office before they released the hostages.
Yeah, and they released him to Reagan, who was trying to arm the Contras to take over.
Which, by the way, Carter the poster child for weakness.
Yes, he was, unfortunately.
I still think he was the worst president in my lifetime. Well, actually, that's not even technically my lifetime, but in my memory.
Yeah.
I mean, even worse than Obama, and I don't have a very high opinion of Obama.
Well, and I don't disagree with you on that. Carter was basically, he was the equivalent of a presidential tie. You know, he didn't really do anything good. He didn't really do anything bad. He just was.
Well, you know, in the aftermath of fucking Watergate and the whole, Nixon thing, and then Ford, you know, Carter looked like a decent option to the country. You know, nobody had the foresight of just like, okay, think down the road in case like we need to go to war again, as on the defensive. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, anybody even, that voted. I mean, I didn't vote. I didn't vote until the 80s. Okay. I wasn't able to vote until then. But, I remember, it was just like, okay, good. We just get somebody that sounds like, they're just a calm person or some shit.
Get somebody who seems level-headed, and that's what the whole thing was about.
It was more like about feel-good psychological, choice. I think that the country made, which is the exact opposite of what we got now with Trump.
Yeah, it is.
We're getting hostile towards our politicians.
We are, but part of that has been, realistically due to some of the stuff that our politicians have been doing. I mean,
exactly. No, I totally agree with it. I agree with it.
Even if you believe that, HW was a scandalous, administration, Clinton had a ton of scandals, a ton of cover-ups, a ton of attempts to keep the wool over the eyes of the public. George W. Bush, there was a lot of rumor, a lot of speculation, a lot of supposition. Some of it's probably true, some of it's probably not. We're not really sure because we don't have all the declassified documents. And, even as much as President Obama and the Democrat Party like to tout President Obama as being a scandalous administration, hello, Fast and Furious people, that doesn't even get into
the Tea Party IRS scandal.
I was going to say that doesn't even get into Benghazi, the State Department selling uranium to Russia, the conservatives being silenced by the IRS.
Well, it would be, weaponizing the IRS against the people of God damn.
Yeah, I mean, that's the tip of the iceberg there, the Fast and the Furious.
Can you imagine everything that's still covered up,
I don't even want to think about it. I'm looking forward to these redacted documents coming out proving that President Obama knew about the FISA warrants, because, and hopefully it also proves that he knew about the unmasking of, U.S. citizens in intelligence documents that they were using to try to get the FISA warrants against Trump. Because that was shiesty as well, and a lot of people have forgotten about that. The unmasking of those citizens should not have been done under those circumstances.
So all right, say all this stuff comes out. Do you think that he gets Jarrett or Rice to hop on a sword for him? Do you think he will
try? I think he will try. I don't think it'll necessarily work.
I don't either. That whole playing dumb shit. It was like, I didn't learn about this until y'all did on the news. Holy shit,
Yeah, that never held water with me anyway. But a lot of people bought it, and I don't know why. Well, so let's move on to something a little more entertaining here. I don't know if y'all caught them, but I definitely sat down and watched them. The Tennessee senatorial debate, where former Governor Phil Bredesen is running as the Democrat senator representative. And I will tell you this, I now remember why I hated that man when he was governor. And he sounds even more socialist than he did before.
Yeah, of course.
What's funny is that debate, while the Republican sitting senator didn't seem out of place for Tennessee, former Governor Bredesen sounded like somebody from the West Coast.
Was he a transplant?
No, he was Tennessee born. But he was talking about single-payer health care while claiming that the Republicans don't have an option to fix the health care system. He was bashing Trump about being hard on Iran and Korea. I don't think he realizes that the Korean War Peace Treaty was signed. I think he missed that, because he's only watching the MSLSD. And I mean, some of his talking points I would see coming out of Governor Kate Brown or Governor Jerry Brown.
Right.
The two governors on the West Coast, Oregon and California, respectively. It seems like the Democrat Party has become some sort of giant walking golem of political ideas. They don't seem to be deviating at all anymore from each other. Even though the Republicans still do, the Democrats don't seem to, and I don't understand that at all. Other than in the context of communism and a communist push.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Irate, but back in the 90s and in the 80s, didn't Democrats fight amongst each other over ideas?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
man, they were at each other's throats for years, After the Reagan thing, after Reagan got elected, it was 12 years of them just fucking going at each other. And then I think towards the end, they figured out, holy shit, if we don't get our shit together, we will never, we may be in danger of being, pushed out of office and the party may die completely, and then we would, it's actually, I think what's manifesting now is just a culmination of all that shit, because it was Pelosi and all those people that were trying to whip everybody, to keep their mouth shut and to do what the fuck they told them to. Right. Yeah. And then he gets elected. Clinton gets elected. And so they're able to solidify their base, within the deep state, among other things.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, geez, man. They were. Yeah,
but I mean, when are Democrats going to actually start, creating new ideas? Because it seems like they've just utterly stopped. I mean, I'm constantly hearing Republicans and libertarians and 1776ers and, anarcho-capitalists and all these other groups that aren't, left of center and authoritarianistic coming up with new ideas or offering alternative solutions to what they're saying. And it seems that they have no ideas other than what the party line is anymore. And that's just kind of sad.
It seems that they've lost all creativity. I mean, anything on that far left of, with Commiefornia and on all that, they have no new ideas. I mean, just look at Hollywood coming out with all the reboots. I mean, they're rebooting Magnum P.I.,
which I'm boycotting, by the way, because the new actor doesn't have a mustache.
Oh yeah, no. Magnum must have a stash.
Yeah, Magnum has to have a porn stash, and he doesn't in the new reboot, and I'm refusing to watch it.
Maybe the stash didn't consent.
Oh, God.
I mean, but I think
you're going to make me sick with that.
Isn't that why you invited me on?
Yes, it was.
All right.
I mean, you come up with some crazy stuff on occasion, so I definitely wanted you.
Yeah. Just imagine the stuff that I don't say. But I think that they've lost all manner of creativity or free thinking
Well,
on that side of the political spectrum. And the only thing that they can see is that they have to be in lockstep with the ideology. Otherwise, they think that they're going to be ostracized, kicked out, and so on and so forth. I mean, just look at anything to do with social justice warriors. Somebody who steps out and says something on their own is then kicked out of the movement.
yeah, it is, and that's something Lacey Green learned the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of glad she got her red pill moment though, because maybe she'll decide to do something with her life that's actually worthwhile now, instead of push Democrat propaganda. But doesn't that make anybody else sad? I mean,
it does me.
I thought America was supposed to be, founded on debate and dissidence and discussion and coming up with some sort of idea that most people could, consider to be the best of the choice.
Mm-hmm.
And mostly leave people alone. And it just seems like it's either their way or the highway at this point, and there's no discussion about it anymore.
Well, I think that, your average voter, and stop me if you think I'm wrong, because it's like, I think the average voter is so fucking busy trying to, make it to that next paycheck, because of this vicious cycle that this country's in, of being constantly in debt. And, it's gotten to a point of where the politicians, realize they really don't give a fuck about anything, man. I could literally, just not show up or, abstain from voting, and I'll still get reelected,
Well, yeah, I mean, Senator Obama voted present his entire time in the Senate.
Yeah.
Same with Representative Obama. He didn't even vote yes or no. He voted present. And he got elected freaking president. What the hell? I mean, that's the pinnacle of wishy-washy,
That's Carter level wishy-washy.
Yeah, it really is. I was kind of surprised when he went into office and he was a pure socialist, because it's like, how did you slip through that way? Most socialists can't keep their head about them long enough to not push socialism, because they're so far, out in left field, picking the socialist flowers and smelling drinking the Kool-Aid, that they can't think of anything else.
I think Irate kind of hit it on the head, where the average voters, I mean, they're too preoccupied with just life, taking care of the day-to-day. Other voters have become complacent. That my vote doesn't matter. They're just going to do whatever the hell they want to do anyway. And the politicians themselves have become complacent and said, you know what, I'm just going to be in this and ride this gravy train till I retire, such as, Senator Hatch from Utah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, hell, if everybody else is, stepping up to the trough, you might as well get your share too.
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand, because it's like, what's the old saying? If you dance with the devil, it ain't the devil that changes.
Yeah.
It's so
it's you. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's kind of what you see with all these. I think these well-meaning politicians, man, they start out, and I think that Avenue K has a lot to do with it. The whole lobbying effort. If you look at these people that go in poor and they come out millionaires, how in the fuck does that happen? They're stealing it. They've got to be.
Oh yeah.
Well, it kind of gets weird on that, Irate. I mean,
well,
I was talking about this with my dad just yesterday. It's the silent trust that a lot of these politicians use while they're in the House or in the Senate. These silent trusts are being managed by hedge fund managers who are also lobbyists. And, these politicians are putting parts of their assets or parts of their money in it every year. And these managers have access to all these politicians, so they would know when the laws are going to change. So they know which companies, which industries are going to be harmed, which ones are going to be benefited. And this blind trust makes the changes accordingly, and so they end up making millions in the market.
Right. It's almost like insider trading, but it's just knowing what laws are going to, make this or that an advantage.
That's kind of the definition of insider trading.
It almost is if it was the representatives and senators doing it themselves. And so this blind trust situation is just, it's a paper firewall is what it comes down to. It's the illusion of not being insider trading while still being insider trading. And so...
You've been quiet, bud. What are you thinking about what we're saying?
Did we lose him?
Which bud are we talking about?
The whole insider trading,
Were you talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Well, didn't they just recently essentially make that illegal like a couple of years ago with the House and Senate?
No.
No, I'm pretty sure there was something that came up in the last couple of years about this.
I don't recall seeing anything about it. I know it's been discussed.
No, there was some. I believe it was a female politician who had a little scandal about basically information off of Senate hearings that she took advantage of, and they finally made it illegal to use the information that they get from their positions to be able to buy stocks in companies.
Well, no, you're talking about the senator that gave the information to her cousin who bought stocks and got busted for insider trading. Yeah, that's not exactly what we're talking about here. We're talking about the blind trust that the senators invest in.
Well, that's what the president has to do too. That's theoretically what Trump has had to do.
Yeah. And I don't agree with the president being forced to do that either. I'm kind of weird, guys. I would like to see us go back to citizen politicians, people who don't want to be in politics 24/7, 365 running the country, because I honestly think we would have a better country if we did. That's how the legislature was designed to be. Congress wasn't supposed to be in session year-round. They were only supposed to be in session for a couple of months so that these people could then go back to their lives and do their jobs, do what they did normally. So I don't really like the whole idea of the blind trust and the way it operates anyway. I think it's literally giving us a false sense of security and legalizing insider trading in such a way that it isn't quite what everybody considers to be insider trading.
I don't know. I've one of my favorite areas of history is the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
No, nothing has changed in 2,000 years as far as that goes. Their senators are no different than our senators.
It really hasn't. I don't disagree with you on that. It's one of the reasons I like.
Well, usually when I bring this up, Sir Adamantine and I we get in a discussion about, about the citizen, coming in as and working the job as a citizen. I think we were talking about term limits.
Well, yeah,
how would that work and shit? Because I agree with that concept.
But ultimately, I'm not going to lie. I would just as soon have a strong man in charge.
Really? Yeah, go ahead.
You see, the whole thing about democracy is it's very nice in principle, and in fashion in a country like the U.S., it may be one of the best options. But it's also loose, sloppy, and corrupt, and there's something to be said for a good dictator in the right country.
I'm working on it. I just got to build my super secret satellite. And
Yeah, well, and like I was saying, I don't take that to be too overly literal, but when people like Bush, when Bush wanted to spread democracy in the Middle East, that is the biggest joke ever, because even if you succeed, a democracy is only as good as the viewpoints of the people who populate the country.
Well,
So
yeah, and I mean, you
so
have to have
if
an
if you
informed
take a Middle Eastern
citizenry.
country and make it into a democracy, you're asking for it to be far worse than the dictatorship that preceded it because of their fucked up views. And where's the U.S. headed? It's not headed down the road of it's not headed down the same road as a Middle Eastern country as far as the stupidity of the populace, but it's not getting smarter.
Well, part of that, though, is the way our schools are being run. I mean, we've allowed the schools to be run by a centralized government more than we have the local citizenry.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's where I disagree with you, Sir Adamantine. I think a well-informed populace governing themselves is far more freeing and realistically far more natural.
Even when they're Egyptians and they're 90% mad religious fanatics.
I never said that Egypt was sane, okay? I'm not going to fight that straw man there. I said that a well-informed citizenry.
We do not have a well-informed citizenry here.
We don't currently. We did for a long time.
Because our culture is full of nothing. It's literally like a giant air pocket of stupidity.
Vacuum.
I would say that started maybe in the early 2000s. I think prior to that, we actually had a lot more culture to us. And I think realistically, if we could get more culture moving back through the system and quit basically recycling all the old ideas.
Yeah, in the 80s and 90s, we actually had some form of culture. Now it's the type of culture that you put in a petri dish.
It was the pendulum swing of the whole, if you're not with, the one you love the one you're with, kind of that whole living free disco era, right? And then the reaction to that was, religious conservatism, right? Yeah. With the Reagan. And that was the last vestige of trying to hold on to what, Beaver Cleavers, June and Ward, that whole kind of America, family. The nuclear, exactly. And that was the last, the last desperate attempt to hold on to that shit. And, we can argue whether, religion, but that seemed to be the way that everybody could agree on trying to make it happen. Right.
Except for back then, you also had your extremists on that end too. I mean, look at
of course,
the satanic
panic. Oh God,
yeah. The satanic panic was horrible.
We were talking about this last night.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you'd think that with all the Dungeons and Dragons I've played, I'd at least learn a couple spells by now. For crap's sake! I mean, during the winters in Utah, you know what I would give for a nice fireball spell? I'd get my driveway cleared off like that.
I know. To be fair, man, I quit playing Dungeons and Dragons when 3rd edition came out, if that gives you any indicator.
Well, I like 3rd edition to somewhat, but I'm more 1st and 2nd. I haven't played any 5th. I had to play 4th because at the time I was what they called a delegate. So basically I'd go to different stores, see what they needed. I'd run demos and stuff like that for all their games. So I kind of had to. But Greyhawk forever, man. Yes, I'm also a chief nerd.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I was saying, is that they had the extremists, hard rock, or heavy metal and all that. They had the extremists then too, banning books. Now we just have it, but like you said, the pendulum has swung over to the other side where we have the extremists. Now it's the left that want to ban Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
Well, and their religion, come on, let's be honest. I mean, they've replaced religion with fucking, socialist ideology.
They have, but that's part of what socialism. That's part of what socialism tells you have to do, though, man. I mean,
what is it called? Intersectionality.
Yeah, intersectional theory. Yeah.
Yes.
But see, that's what socialism tells you have to do anyway. You have to deny all religion. You have to remove all of society's culture and all of society's previous establishments.
Nuclear family.
Because those are all structures of the bourgeoisie.
Yeah. Yep.
So
The state is your religion, the state is your family, the state is your culture.
Yeah. And so this whole push to destroy the nuclear family was a push by the socialists. It wasn't anything else. And that's what I'm kind of getting back to, is that it seems like this has been a giant attempt for longer than I realized. I mean, we're talking probably back past before Carter.
It's been going on since the end of the fucking World War II.
I think it might even be older than that, man, because you go back and you look at the Women's Temperance League.
Well, you've always had the counterculture, as we're going back through whenever. You've always had those groups who worked opposite of what the general culture was. I mean, you had the jazz age. You had your different types of beatniks in the 30s and 40s. You had the free love and that in the 60s.
The hippies really ruined everything. And by the way, you all know that famous picture of that girl who's like sticking a daisy in the soldier's gun.
Yeah.
I would have blown that bitch's head off.
Oh man, that's harsh.
I want to teach the world to sing.
You want to teach the world to sing?
Yeah, punk rock, goddammit. That's
right. Man, yeah, I hear
Rock
you.
The cat spa.
I hear you on that. Punk rock forever, man.
That's right.
I think that's one of the reasons well, to be fair, my dad that raised me, he's very much a libertarian. And I think that's one of the reasons I ended up a 1776er, because, I started listening to that hard rock and that punk rock. And I had a Christian upbringing, but it wasn't forced for me to stay. So when I started questioning, I really started looking. And I kind of exploded out into like this ultra freedom kind of political stance as part of it.
Yeah. Well, what's amazing to me is that all those people that I partied with back in the day, played gigs with, I mean, we're talking like, 8-hour shows where, everybody, every band, we all got the bands. They were all from anarchy and shit, right? Now they're all fucking communists. And it's just like, what in the fuck, what is wrong with you? And they say I'm a Nazi, of course, because, I'm not a communist. But it amazes me, how they justify. I mean, that's why I'm not on Facebook anymore, man. I didn't close my personal Facebook account because of recent shit. I closed it because, man, I hadn't talked to anybody in 2 years on that fucking thing, because I remember one day I just airlocked 200 people. I mean, that I would consider friends from the very town that I live in, right? And I just flushed them all.
Yeah.
Because they were all fucking idiots. It was right after the election.
Man, I've been muting people that I've known for years on Facebook recently.
And they're still fucking whiny.
I don't want to hear their BS. I mean, I had several of them call me racist because I don't want unending chain immigration into the country without validations. I want people coming to this country who are going to adapt and assimilate and become American, not people who want to come here and just strip mine resources,
Yeah.
But that apparently makes me racist. I don't get it, All right, so let's slide the topic over. I've got a clip of Kavanaugh making an amazing announcement on Fox. And I don't know if you guys have seen this yet or not, because this was today that he announced this. I'm going to play the clip here through Twitter. So I'm going to screen share.
Here Make sure you don't have any porn up.
I'm making sure I don't have any porn up.
Because you never share, which,
Of course I don't share porn. So here we go, guys.
Yeah, we don't want to see that stuff anyway.
So...
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an allegation of sexual assault. I've never sexually assaulted anyone. I did not have sexual intercourse or anything close to sexual intercourse in high school or for many years thereafter. And the girls from the schools I went to and I were friends.
So you're saying that through all these years that are in question, you were a virgin?
That's correct.
Never had...
Wow.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, no, I can understand it, man. I didn't lose my virginity till I was 20 or 21. I can't remember. It was early. She was married.
You dog.
And it was a rainy day. Yeah, oh yeah, it was fucked up. Drugs may have been involved.
Of course. Well, I hate to admit it, man. I guess I was partying harder than you were because I lost my virginity before I left high school. Heck,
You're a pimp, dude.
I had my first three-way before I left high school. So maybe I was just a little too...
Wow, early bloomer.
Dude. Or is this one of those, out in the country kind of things? It's like there's not much else to do.
No.
So when you go out
Actually,
to
it was two lovely ladies who decided to give me an amazing 17th birthday present.
Dude.
I could say something, but what the hell? So, when you go out into the country around the farms and that, do you hear, "Daddy, come back, we miss you"?
No, man, no. That's what the Scottish guys hear. But yeah, so I mean, that was his admission on Fox in front of the nation, and yet we are still hearing about whether or not these women are going to testify on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, these are literally he said, she said, because there aren't even any witnesses willing to come forward to corroborate these stories.
No, and a lot of the witness, the second witness that they found, I mean, it was the way that she worded what she thinks might have happened is so vague. I mean, that's kind of how it sounded. Like she thought this might be what could have happened, but I'm not sure. It's like, what the fuck?
And the thing is that it's so long ago. I mean,
36 years.
These could be implanted memories.
Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned this on the chat in the yesterday's stream. Yeah. Is that I implanted a memory about a UFO encounter that I had. So I'm, how old was I? 15 or 16. Our house overlooked the entire Salt Lake Valley, and I'm standing on our back porch, and I see like 5 lights on the other side of the valley, all in a line. Okay, definition UFO. It's unidentified. It's flying. It's an object. Okay, so I'm being a weird kid that I was, and I guess still am. I have a flashlight, and I'm like flashing pseudo Morse code at them.
Yeah.
And then one of them breaks off, flies over my head, don't hear a thing, and then returns back. Okay. Fast forward a few years, I'm stationed in Germany, and I see coming this time towards me a series of bright lights. Turns out they're C-130s doing touch and goes on our airfield.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm wondering, okay, maybe that's what I saw way back then, doing touch and goes at Hill Air Force Base.
Yeah.
But still, that didn't explain, it's like, okay, wait a minute, one of them broke off, flew over my head. And C-130s are pretty noisy.
Yes, they are.
Well,
very noisy.
It's later when I'm reading something about how memory works and how you recreate them. What I did was, while I was watching those fly by when I was 14 or 15, I'm thinking to myself, it would be cool if one of them broke off, flew over, and I implanted that memory as it actually happened rather than just imagination.
Yeah.
I think you give this woman far too much credit by even using the word implanted or the phrase implanted memory.
I think it's just fake memory.
I think she's an opportunist bitch who thinks she might come out ahead of this, and I hope I hope she instead ends up getting fired.
Well, I still find it funny that apparently this Judge Kavanaugh, has only ever had rapes or sexual assaults or whatever with both ultra liberal Democrat operatives, because both of these ladies have been heavily supporting of the Hillary Clinton campaign, were heavily supportive of the Obama campaign.
Yeah, and it's the church girls that are wild ones. It's the conservative chicks are the wild ones.
Oh yes, yes,
everybody knows that.
Oh yes.
Yes,
I'm not going to say anything about Mormon girls, but
don't get me started there, man. Don't get me started there.
Oh man.
But yeah, so this was the announcement today out of the Kavanaugh case, and
that's amazing.
Many of the Democrats are still demanding a prolonged investigation, and are not. And I'm not even sure we're going to see testimony from Dr. Ford on Thursday. I know Steve Crowder of Louder with Crowder is betting that she doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And I know Stefan Molyneux doesn't think she's going to show up either. And both of these guys are pretty on the ball. And I think they might have some better understanding than even I have as to what's going on with this.
Well,
because they're probably better read.
Well, she is stupid if she shows up, because she has to do one of two things. She either has to water things down to the point of meaninglessness, or she has to potentially commit perjury.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I also know that she was trying to demand that the hearing be held in a small, closed-off room with no media.
And no lawyers, if I remember right.
Which really makes me want to go, wait a minute, no. Mm-hmm. And the reason that makes me want to say no is because if the whole reason she came forward was to create transparency and stop this evil man from being appointed, the U.S. has to know.
Right.
I mean, this testimony being sealed behind closed doors isn't going to solve the problem. It's only going to create more displacement, more division, more derisiveness amongst the population, not less.
Yep.
What we need is less of that. And it seems that the more this confirmation process drags on, the more divisive it gets. I mean, how many Democrat senators were going to vote for him anyway?
Exactly.
And have they really swayed any of the Republican senators? I mean, shoot, Lindsey Graham's on his side now. Yep. For crying out loud. And if you're going to sway anybody, you're going to sway Lindsey Graham.
Maybe someone promised him another war in return for the vote.
I've always kind of liked Graham for some reason.
Well, I mean...
Oh, my God. I haven't seen anything stuck so far in a closet as him, ever.
No, man, he's the closest thing to being out of the closet out of all those some bitches on fucking... I'm talking about Republicans, okay?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. I disagree. I think he's probably the most out of the closet.
Hey, look, they're those guys who buy themselves Corvettes to make up for the lack of hair on their head. But really, starting wars just to make yourself seem straight, I mean, that's a bit over the top, isn't it?
That's a little too much compensation. Yeah, I mean, and I thought the guy I saw yesterday was bad. He had his big old jacked up white truck with dual wheels in the back, and his truck was like 6 feet off the ground, and I'm like, Jesus, man.
Man, get my dolly, man. We're gonna ride down. We're gonna go mudding, motherfucker. Awesome.
that makes me look at the Punic Wars a lot differently.
It really does, doesn't it?
God. Oh shit, guys! I got a split.
Oh well,
Oh,
yeah. Sorry to
is
hear that, Irate. I mean,
this
we'd
is
love to
fun.
keep you, but
Yeah,
I
I've
know you
been
got
telling
other
these dudes that I would
obligations.
be, I would hang with them for at least 3 weeks. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll be here same bat time, same bat channel next week. Though.
Of course, man. And
All right, brother.
don't forget to check out the rest of Irate Prostate's schedule. He does Cream Stream Wednesday nights still, right?
No, Thursday,
No. That's Thursday.
Thursday's hot takes. We're doing Iron Fist season 2, Cream Stream Friday. It's just going to be the core group, and then interview with the Final Print Sunday.
All right, and of course, Irate Monday next week. So,
Bing, we'll be there. Thanks,
all right.
man.
See you later, man.
All right, take care. Y'all have a good one.
Cheers.
Bye, Ray.
Bye.
But yeah, so it's really surprising to see a freaking Supreme Court nominee having to announce to the world that he was a virgin until after he was out of college. I mean, hell, guys.
Well, it's okay. So I didn't lose my virginity until I was 20. I didn't care who knew it. It's just, okay, yeah, I'm a virgin. So what? And it's just a state of being back then. Eventually, I lost it, and many years later got it back. But still,
Like a virgin.
touched for the very first time. Anyway,
But
then a lot of this happened with Clarence Thomas.
Yeah, Clarence Thomas declared his nomination to be basically a version of a virtual lynching by the Democrats, and I don't get it. It seems that it really makes me sad that kind of a statement has to be made more than anything. Phobos. I don't find it sad that he kept himself in that state of being. That I can understand. I mean, there's some evidence that not being very promiscuous can actually make you more prosperous, and in that kind of scenario. But the fact that he's having to make that statement publicly to the entire world on Fox News to try to defend himself against allegations that are flimsier than a piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, normally this would be something it's a private thing. But then again, we've got slut walks and all that, so it's like...
Well, we said that was also his decision to make. He didn't need to give that much detail.
True, he didn't have to give that much detail, but I mean, at this point, not coming out with that much detail could actually hurt him more than coming out with that much detail, which could help him. Hey, Atima, good to see you.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry it took me so long.
Not a problem. I just played for them the clip of Judge Kavanaugh on Fox News. It seems that she's got a little one to deal with for a moment.
She was actually following her father, who was just trying to grab something in the corner of the door.
Well, I played for them the clip of Judge Kavanaugh actually on Fox News admitting that he didn't lose his virginity until well after he was done in college. And we were actually discussing how that's sad that he actually had to release that publicly in that way in this whole scenario.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's pretty awful.
I mean, that's kind of a private thing to discuss with your partners, not something that needs to be on national news.
Oh, wow, that's painful.
Yeah, did you not see the clip?
No, I didn't. I unfortunately only have a few hours a day to look at stuff.
Yeah, I get that. Guys, do y'all mind if I re-show the clip and let her see it?
No. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Give me a second here. I'm gonna cue it back just a second, and then I will set up the screen share. All right, there we go. And a little screen share magic. Send to everyone.
Or cringe a bit, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about an allegation of sexual assault. I've never sexually assaulted anyone. I did not have sexual intercourse or anything close to sexual intercourse in high school or for many years thereafter. And the girls from the schools I went to and we were friends.
So you're saying that through all these years that are in question, you were a virgin?
That's correct.
Never had sexual intercourse with anyone in
Oh.
high school?
Correct.
And through what years in college, since we're probing into your personal life here?
Many years after. I'll leave it at that. Many years after.
So what do you think is happening?
See, that's even worse than I remember.
Yeah.
Many years after, like what, 30, 35?
Oh.
Yeah. And the fact that he had to do that on public television is part of what I'm aghast about. I mean, I know Sir Adamantine was talking about, you know, he didn't have to do that, but I mean, with these allegations floating around about him that are, like I said before, as flimsy as a piece of paper or basically a playing card being acted like it's a brick, I don't see how this hurts him. It actually helps him, even though
it might help him in this one particular situation, but it degrades his personal dignity.
He is literally having to, you know, excuse the phrase, expose himself to the world in that aspect.
You know what he should have said?
Oh.
He should have said, "I've never had sexual intercourse with that woman."
Well, we're not talking about B.J. Clinton and the definition of is. I mean, but yeah, I mean that might have been a better statement to preserve more of his dignity. But
I would have trolled this shit out of her. I couldn't have taken it seriously. Sorry.
You know, I just realized something. I think that's where the whole definition thing started. It was like, you know, what is the definition of is? You know, it's like where everything definitions are getting changed. You know, gender means this, racism means that. Read a freaking dictionary. Anyway, never mind.
Yeah. A lot of that redefining started in the 90s when people wanted to change the culture. You know, we need to be nicer to everybody. We need to be politer to everybody. Never mind the fact that we're going to call these women who are accusing Bill Clinton a bimbo eruption.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to not say certain words in public.
You know, I can. At the beginning, I could have got around to, you know, just be nice. You know, don't be an asshole. You know,
well, that was the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, and then just went totally off the rails. It's like I can't say what.
Yeah.
Well, then the that's just a few years after the first codified laws or regulations about censorship in music were created.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back when they started putting the warning labels on CDs and such.
Yeah, and that's since then things have gotten worse, and it's gotten rather rapid, I have to say. You know, less than a generation, we've gone from being a rather open and liberty-minded culture to trying to push false paradigms and delusional, for lack of a better way to put it. I mean, it's just, we've gone crazy. And it's been unbelievably fast as far as culture goes.
It really has, and it was one of the things I was worried about when we started doing this whole political correctness thing. I'm like, where is this going to stop? You know, you're telling me I have to be nice. Well, what's your definitive idea of nice? You know, how come you get to choose what's nice and I don't get to choose what's appropriate or nice?
Go ahead.
That's when somebody says, "Can't you just be nice?" And I go, "This is me being nice. Do you want me to see me rude?" I have weapons grade vocabulary, and I'm not afraid to fire for effect.
Scatter, plot, fire, commence. grid reference.
Lightning within 5 may stop the U.S. Air Force, but it's not going to stop me.
See, and my definition of niceness requires honesty.
Yeah. And
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just agreeing with you on that. I prefer to be honest. I'm tactful about my honesty. I'm not just going to say, if you don't look great in something, I'm going to say you look horrible. I'm going to say, maybe you should try something else. That's not the best look on you. But that's still being honest with them. It's just not being.
Well, see, I tell people I'm not politically correct. I'm scientifically accurate. Instead of like, this may be harmful, it says it will kill you dead. You will die screaming in pain and crying.
Possibly.
There are good times for that.
Oh yeah. It's like, especially on college campuses. That's great fun.
Oh man. Yeah, see, I've got to go down and explore the college campuses in Nashville now because I'm not familiar with how they are anymore.
I don't think you're going to leave that outing happy.
No,
well, I might have to record that outing and publish it to YouTube.
Oh, definitely. Couple things that you ought to do. One is you can should be able to do this online. Go look at their course catalog for this semester.
Well, I'm thinking I'm going to leave Vanderbilt out because Vanderbilt is not exactly a bastion of liberalism and never has been. But
ironic, considering that's the family that spawned Anderson Cooper.
It is,
and Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. But I'm expecting Middle Tennessee State University and Nashville University and a couple others to be far worse than Vanderbilt ever could consider being.
I could tell you some things about the University of Utah.
Ooh, don't want to know, man.
See, you guys are all just novices as far as I'm concerned. I grew up by UCSB.
Ooh.
I got you.
Ooh, Atema, that's the head of BAMN.
Yeah, I know.
Whew.
Oh, I'd probably be killed if I went there.
I would be shot on sight, probably by somebody that would then turn around and protest guns. That's one of the reasons I left the West Coast, man. You can ask Atema. I used to live near her. It wasn't safe for me out there anymore.
Have you heard of the Crying Closet?
I have.
That's on the U of U.
Yes.
That's in the U of U Marriott Library.
There's a closet you can go into to cry?
Yes.
What in the fucking fuck? Seriously, these are things you offer toddlers and small children that are learning how to compensate or cope with the experience of having emotions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't need that not a public space and not meant for adults.
It's when I first started going to college a couple of years ago. It's like I keep hearing, safe space, and I go, I'm a veteran. A safe space is one where you're not being shot at.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm going, what? It's like, okay, And then one of the first classes that I was taking, it had trigger warnings, and I'm reading that. It says, okay, so the kind of the subtitle of this course is, trauma in literature. So we were reading a lot of examples of trauma. So, okay, yeah, I can understand that. But then it just went downhill from there. Oh my God. I used to call the vet center in the Union my safe space. Because, I could go in there and talk to other veterans. I remember once this a female walked in. I said, so, Can you swear in here? And I go, no fucking way. You better watch your goddamn language. She laughed. I laughed. The rest of the people in the office laughed.
But yeah, man, I mean, come on, in a veteran space, if you can't swear, you can't have veterans there. It's a given. I don't swear as much as I used to, but I still swear pretty bad.
I don't know what my excuse is. I think it's because I grew up around law enforcement and EMS.
That would do it,
Yeah.
Atema. That would do it.
I
They're
have a
just
really
as bad.
And I have a really macabre sense of humor.
Yeah,
So-
that also goes hand in hand with it. So, speaking of macabre sense of humor, I want to discuss this new California law that got passed.
Oh God, it's not something about raping the dead, is it?
No. So you have to be 16 to get a driver's license in California. 18 to buy a rifle. They're trying to make it 21. 18 to engage in consensual sex or get married without your parents' permission. 21 to buy a handgun, alcohol, marijuana, or tobacco. But now, in the nation's most progressive state, you only need to be 12 years old to privately seek and consent to treatments for gender transformation.
Whoa. 12?
12.
Without parental consent.
Without parental consent. If you have parental consent, it can be much younger.
Oh, that's number one. That shouldn't be legal until after 18, even with parental consent.
I
Yeah,
agree.
no, you need to let the body develop more if you want it to go through the right kind of change.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you guys, but I did want to bring this one up because reading this just kind of...
I don't know. Well, you remember that National Geographic cover with like the boy who decided he's a girl? I hope his parents are ready to be stabbed and brutally murdered one day, because when he decides what was pulled on him, he's not going to be happy.
No, he's not.
You remember in the Superman movie with Christopher Reeve? You know, where Lex Luthor was going to fire a nuke at the San Andreas Fault?
Yeah.
Can we dust that off?
No, fucking seriously, 12?
12. Now, hang on. It gets better.
Oh, God.
This provides the rights of minors and non-minors in foster care as described above, including the right to be involved in the development of a case plan, elements related to placement and gender-affirming health care with considerations of their gender identity. This new law also includes the provisioning for all children in foster care, as well as former foster care youth up to the age of 26.
Oh my God.
That are entitled to Medi-Cal coverage without cost share or income or resource limits.
So not only...
Yeah,
It
taxpayer
gets
funded.
to be done on the taxpayer's dollar, too.
Yeah. Not only are they going to be allowed to make this decision, but the taxpayers have to pay for it.
Well, that is the best argument I've ever heard for not having national health care.
Now, here's the kicker.
Company running, right?
I mean, at least it's California paying for it, not the whole U.S.
No. Medi-Cal is funded by the federal government. It's Medicare. It's Medicaid. Sorry, it's Medicaid. Remember, Medicaid is federally funded, so that means states like Tennessee, which has a surplus of Medicaid funding, ends up paying for California's Medicaid funding.
Like Texas.
Texas.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's horseshit.
Yeah, it completely is. Now, here's also the kicker. This also includes non-citizens.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this
And
will
we've
include...
removed all the psychological tests and stuff associated with getting
Getting these treatments, yeah.
getting the sex change operation and the process that goes with it, right?
Yeah, they have.
Mm.
Yeah.
What is the end goal of this?
The end goal is to create a bunch of sterile automatons that do whatever the Democrat Party tells them to.
No, it's to create special interest groups. Pure and simple, that's what this does. It creates special interest groups, because once you start getting money set aside for a specific cause, it creates special interest groups, and that creates another money racket where politicians actually get more money.
Yeah.
In their own personal pockets.
Well, not just in their own personal pockets, but even in their campaign coffers and everything else.
And their own personal pockets via those campaign
Well,
coffers.
well, you can't technically take campaign coffers and use them for yourself. They have to be spent on the campaign.
Oh, yes, I know. But
there are ways around that. I know.
there
I
are
know what you're
lots of
talking
things
about.
you buy for a campaign that work really well in your house afterwards.
Now, here is also a news article that I wanted to bring up, and this was actually written by a Melissa Danaford. And she is actually talking about how women now need to protect the men in their lives from unproven accusations
Yes.
of rape or sexual misconduct.
Yes.
And this article has come up because of everything going on in the Kavanaugh case.
Can you give me a link for this, please?
Yeah, I will send you the link in the side chat here.
Sweet. Because this is something I agree with.
And I actually was going to talk to Reading Ren and maybe Modern Medusa and see about doing a Women Who Support Men stream about this. What do you think, Atema? Would you be interested in it as well?
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I'm going to see about maybe getting something set up for, say, maybe Thursday.
Sure. I think I could. Yeah, Thursday should work just fine.
All right. It might be earlier in the day and not later in the day like now. So.
Well, it's fine. As long as I have the evening open to be able to make up for whatever I have to stop and do a stream for, I'm fine. It's just.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to get with them probably early tomorrow and see what they've got. And if they want to do one, then I'll set it all up and we can all sit down and talk.
Yes, absolutely. I am interested.
But yeah, basically, it's going on about how modern feminism has basically become an attack on men.
It is. It's a weapon.
And at this point, women actually need to stop the whole believe all women regardless of trial, presence of proof, or anything else, or society is going to worsen. And I don't disagree with this. I mean, realistically, the idea that anybody is above reproach and you should believe 100% of everything they say is, well, foolish at best.
It just creates more stupid MGTOWs.
I'm really quite happy that I've solved this entire problem on a personal level.
I know you have.
Yes, Sir Adamantine, we are aware you have solved this problem very much.
Have you heard of Have you heard of Diana Davidson?
Yes, I am familiar with Diana Davidson and her work. I actually share her work regularly on Minds. She's a great lady, has some great information out there. I wouldn't mind doing this stream with her as well, but I don't think she has as much time as some of these other ladies do, so
Probably not.
I'm probably going to be out of luck on that. But yeah, I'm familiar with her work. She's done some really great work, especially with the Lighthouse Foundation, which helps support men who have been falsely accused of rape. You okay there, Atema?
I have no idea.
Are the Democrats beating down your door? Do we need to send a chopper to evac you?
Well, it is an 11-year-old, so that is quite similar to a Democrat.
Okay, then I guess you're safe for now. I was worried we were going to have to emergency evac you out of the left coast there.
No, I think she dropped something that made a horrible mess. I'm not sure. But she
Okay.
said ow loudly. I have no idea.
Yeah, then
God
probably
knows
she
at
did.
this point.
But yeah, I did want to bring that up and let everybody know that it seems that there's been a movement further into this kind of stuff, and we're getting female journalists actually talking about it. Because, I mean, I know Diane Davidson had been talking about this for a while, and I know that, what is it? Red Secure and Red Badger, Red Honey Badger have been
Or the
doing
Honey
this.
Badger Radio?
Yeah, Honey Badger Radio. There we go. Sorry about that. Have been doing work on this for a while, but the fact now that more media outlets are starting to pick this up and run with it, it's lending the whole the whole issue more credit and more credence. Because I know I've been worried about this for a while. I mean, if one group in society can never say anything that's a lie, and the other group of society is automatically lying or automatically can't be believed, then we've got a serious problem.
Yeah. Well, once you have the core fundamentals of how justice in any kind of good society is going to work, once you throw that out the window, your society is going to go to shit. And as fast as we're seeing our society change, that's how quick our society is going to go to shit. So we really need to kind of like nip it in the bud. You know, yeah, I see it as a big red flag that needs to be stomped on real quick.
Oh, I don't disagree with you, and that's one of the reasons I'm hoping if we do get this stream together that a lot of people end up watching it. I hope we can get some serious views on that, because it's kind of important.
Yeah.
Well, we've got about 4 minutes before the top of the hour, so I guess we should go ahead and start shilling out. Atima, do you want to do the honors?
See, Friday we got Cream Stream with Irate Prostate, but before that, tomorrow, Irate Prostate and my dude, Big Fat Brian, are going to be doing hot takes, and they're going to be reviewing season 2 of Iron Fist. And I am just going to say these two men have fortitudes that are tougher than titanium, because this is a fucking awful show. And I have
really
no
is.
idea how they are doing this without murdering puppies and kittens. So I am totally, completely amazed with them. Please do check it out, at least for anything, just to give them props for getting through such a shit series. It's really bad.
Atima, I think they actually have videos queued up of people murdering puppies and kittens just so that they can watch them after each episode so that they can remain sane.
Yeah, something. I don't know, because those are awful. It's what happens when you tell porn stars they get to act without any fucking involved, in my opinion. It's just,
oh God.
Excuse my language, but the acting is that bad to me. It's really 1987 Skinamax. It's
yeah, it really is bad.
High caliber. Yeah. So anyway, that's going on, and then my Monday show is on hiatus. Tuesday's kind of squished. I'm starting to struggle with that. I might have to work things around a little bit. It's going kind of crazy for me on that day.
I understand.
And
but we hope to keep having you here, because I actually enjoy you being here.
I enjoy this show a lot. I like talking with you.
Well, thank you. We enjoy talking with you too.
Yeah, since my kids are back to home, we homeschool, so I'm going to have less hours during the day available for live streaming.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll have the cash together soon for a computer chair, which means I'll start recording again, and I'll start putting up produced videos, as well as 1 or 2 live streams a week. I need to cut back on it anyway. Too many streams is bad for your blood, I think. So.
Bad for the heart rate?
Something is bad for you. I think it's bad for your mind, or it's bad for you. Too much streaming is harmful.
If you say so. But
it is for me.
Okay, so Dr. Phobos? You there?
I'm here. Sorry. I really don't have anything to show. I'm debating whether or not I should do my own video series. Probably primarily going on the infection of SJWs into tabletop gaming.
Ooh, and I should do a stream on that.
Oh, yes. Definitely. I've got some lovely stuff.
And I'm sure Tima would want to join us for that if she gets a chance.
I have some serious complaints about monster manuals from edition 4 on up.
We're all big nerds here, Phobos. Except Sir Adamantine.
Yeah, I have no idea what you all are talking about. And please don't clarify for me.
Says the guy with with a hippogriff on his.
Addie, my
Yeah.
biggest complaint is that they took away the boobies.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
That's my biggest complaint. So
Okay, well, that kind of leaves me unmoved as well. So
yes, that's what I'm saying. It's not really a thing for you.
Well, you know, after first edition, they also started covering up the demon's genitals.
I know it was so retarded.
Yeah, it really was.
It was so retarded.
What's funny is that I was talking to one of my kids who are adults, quote unquote, about it's like you see some buxom barbarian woman in chainmail bikinis, and it's like, oh, that's so unrealistic and so offensive. Well, yeah, it's unrealistic, but we've been making fun of that for decades.
And it's still hot as fuck. I don't care what you say.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
And considering, especially at the time, most most players were male and maybe straight. I don't know. Was the 80s.
Yeah.
So whenever you want to do a stream, let me know. I've got a few things to get off my non-booped chest.
We'll forgive you for not having boobs. It's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got some good complaints too. I've got some serious complaints. Like, there's some dumb stuff, and there were some things that were thrown in for fun that just they've taken all the fun out of the game, and I won't buy any more Wizards of the Coast products.
I don't disagree with you there. I haven't bought any of their products since 2003.
I put up a rant on my channel about it. It's called, what is it called? The Big-Breasted Housewife card?
Yeah.
A rant? Yeah, that's what it's called.
All right. Sir Adamantine, you want to go ahead and give us some shill?
all I've got is my Saturday afternoon drinks with friends stream. Which, yeah, not much to see there.
Hey, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Wendy, are you and Red Pill Shark going to be starting back up soon, anytime or anything?
I'm kind of doubting it.
Oh man, that's sad.
Oh.
Well, no, it's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sharky and I get along just fine. Nothing happened in that way. But my impression, I just think he looks at having like 50 people watch a stream.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, wow, 50 people. But then he compares that to like 50,000 people watching one of his videos, and he's like, fuck this.
Well, it's totally different, yeah.
It is, and to be fair, I get a lot more views on my streams after the stream is over than I do during the stream itself. So that's something he also needs to maybe think about as well, because, I mean, my view count doubles or triples after the stream is over.
I don't know. I really like those. I really like those streams, and I think I may end up doing something similar myself.
Okay.
Like a political, extremely flippant political stream. The kind where I suggest people should be killed in mass.
Oh,
kind of like I did one or two times on your stream tonight, except for an hour.
Oh, you do political shit posting.
Yeah. He's gonna go all keck on us and put a green frog head on that hip.
There's none of that.
Come on, man.
Because you know what? I actually have sex in real life, so I don't need a frog.
Hey, I have plenty of sex in real life, man.
I have a life.
And of course, I was your generous host tonight, Veteran Mountain Man. Please don't forget to join me next week for Front Porch Talk. Also, I'm going to try to schedule up that stream I was just talking with Atema about how women are going to have to start defending men in their real life situations because of unfounded accusations. Also, I'm going to try to get my video producing back up and running, but it's been a little tough with me doing the cross-country move and having to reset up my life. But I hope you all enjoyed the fact that I am now going to be doing a lot of my streams without my avatar involved, because I know a lot of people have asked to actually have me interact and show expressions on both my streams and my videos. Don't forget to catch Irate Prostate with his hot takes tomorrow with Big Fat Brian. Cream stream on
Thursday.
sorry, on Thursday with Big Fat Brian, Cream Stream on Friday, his interview he does on Sunday. And of course, as always, have yourself a great night.